Story 1.
The tents that moved in the night. This happened during spring break of my junior year in college. My three closest friends, Kevin, Alice, and I decided to go car camping in Colorado.
Spot's pretty dead.
We'd been
Sure it's the
doing
right
trips
place?
like this together since freshman year, but that semester we were all pretty broke. So instead of paying for a proper campground, we chose dispersed camping deep in the woods. I found the location on a camping app. It was somewhere outside of Buena Vista, tucked far down a Forest Service road that felt like it went on forever. We arrived late in the afternoon, and the place seemed perfect. Isolated, quiet, untouched. No other campers, no tire tracks, just a small clearing beside what looked like an old, dried-up creek bed. We set up our tents loosely, maybe 15 feet apart. Nothing planned or symmetrical, just wherever the ground looked flat enough. That night was completely uneventful. We drank a few beers, played cards, talked about nothing important, and went to sleep around 11 p.m. What was strange was how deeply I slept. I am an incredibly light sleeper. Even at home, in a comfortable bed, I wake up multiple times a night. Camping usually makes it worse. But that night, I slept like I'd been drugged. When I woke up the next morning, it felt less like waking up and more like regaining consciousness. I unzipped my tent to get some air, and I froze. All four of our tents had been moved. They were arranged in a perfect square, evenly spaced, surrounding a pile of stones that absolutely had not been there the night before. Each tent had been relocated 20 to 30 feet from where we originally set them up. But that wasn't the worst part. The stakes were still firmly driven into the ground. Everything inside my tent was exactly as I'd left it. My sleeping bag, my phone plugged into the battery pack, my gear, nothing was missing. Nothing was disturbed. In the dirt, there were drag marks leading from the original positions of the tents, but they stopped several feet short of where the tents now stood. As if someone had dragged them partway and then lifted them and carried them the rest of the distance. I yelled for the others. Kevin was the first to crawl out of his tent. I didn't even have to explain. The look on his face told me he already knew something was wrong. Ally and Seb emerged moments later, and the confusion on their faces mirrored my own. Ally said she'd had an incredibly vivid dream. She was walking through a barren, desert-like landscape while an unseen voice counted her steps out loud. Kevin went pale when he admitted he dreamed he was marching with soldiers, moving in perfect rhythm. Different dreams, disturbingly similar themes. The air felt wrong. Heavy. It was like we were all connected somehow. More connected than the night before, but in a deeply unsettling way. The best way I can describe it is this. It felt like there was a fifth presence there with us, watching us, and somehow, inside us. Kevin stepped closer to the stone pile to examine it. As he leaned in, he tripped and knocked it over. The stones scattered across the ground. For a brief second, nothing happened. Then all four of us heard it at the exact same time. A deep, distant rumbling sound, like stone grinding against stone. Not an earthquake, more like an ancient stone door being forced open somewhere far away in the forest. None of us spoke. We didn't need to. We started packing immediately, moving in total silence, driven by pure panic. I've never broken camp that fast in my life. It couldn't have taken more than 5 minutes, but in that moment, it felt endless. We left the woods without looking back. That night was 5 years ago. The four of us live in different places now. We still keep in touch, but we've never talked about what happened out there. Not once. Some things are better left unexamined. Because even now, I'm convinced that night in the forest wasn't just the four of us. There was something else there. A fifth presence. Watching. Arranging. Waiting.
Story 2. The Man by the Blue Car.
My name is Simon. Last summer, when I was 23, my girlfriend Cadence and I decided to go camping to reset our relationship. Nothing was really wrong between us. No fights, no drama, but everything had started to feel flat, predictable, quiet in the wrong way. We thought a weekend in the woods might help. We chose a public campground in a national forest in North Carolina. According to the reviews, it wasn't too crowded, but it also wasn't completely isolated. That felt important at the time. We arrived just before sunset. The campground sat at the end of a long dirt road, surrounded by dense trees. A few picnic tables, a couple of old fire rings, and several empty sites scattered through the forest. The only other vehicle we noticed was a blue sedan parked across the clearing. No one was around it. Cadence picked a site at the very end of the road where the trees blocked the view of the other campsites. I remember thinking how peaceful it felt. Too peaceful. We set up the tent, started a fire, drank a couple of beers. For a while, everything felt normal again. Then he showed up. It was around 10 at night. Cadence had walked off to brush her teeth at the communal spigot. I was sitting by the fire when I noticed a man standing just beyond the edge of the firelight. I jumped. I hadn't heard a single footstep. He apologized for startling me and introduced himself as Aiden. He said he was camping alone and just wanted to say hello. He looked to be in his early 30s, wearing dark clothes, and he held eye contact far longer than felt natural, like he was trying to study me. When Cadence returned, his attention shifted completely. It was as if I stopped existing. Aiden complimented our campsite, saying it was a good spot, very secluded. The way he emphasized that word made my stomach tighten. I ended the conversation by saying we were turning in early. Aiden walked back into the darkness without a flashlight. I never heard him leave. I woke up around 3 in the morning. At first, I didn't know why, until I realized I could hear voices. 2 people, talking softly somewhere near our tent. I slowly unzipped the flap and leaned out. The moment I moved, the voices stopped. I turned on my phone's flashlight and scanned the campsite. Nothing. No movement. No one. I went back inside, telling myself it was a public campground. People talk late. It meant nothing. I didn't tell Cadence. The next afternoon, I found the note. It was folded neatly and tucked under the windshield wiper of our car. You should move your tent. Cadence went pale when she read it. She asked if I thought it was Aiden. Before I could answer, he appeared, just like before. Quiet, sudden. He apologized if the note had scared us. Then he said something that didn't sit right with me. He told us strange things had happened around the area before. Abandoned campsites, personal belongings left behind, things that didn't make sense. He suggested we leave before dark. This time, we didn't argue. As we packed up, the sun dropped quickly behind the trees. When we drove out, I noticed Aiden's blue sedan was still parked at his site. He was crouched beside it. One of his tires had been slashed, clean, deliberate. He asked if we could give him a ride. Cadence whispered, no. We told him we'd call the police once we got service. As we drove down the dirt road, my headlights swept across the forest, and I saw them. 3 figures, standing just inside the tree line. They weren't hiding. They weren't moving. They were watching. Cadence screamed at me to drive. I called 911 as soon as we had signal. I told them everything. They said they would check on it. We never heard back. To this day, I don't know what Aiden really was. A threat, a victim, or something else entirely. What haunts me most isn't the figures in the woods. It's the feeling that the entire time we were there, we never knew who was watching whom. And that the real danger may not have been the person we were afraid of.
Story 3.
The campsite that wasn't there. I was 28 years old when my marriage ended. There was no betrayal, no explosive fight, just the slow realization that 2 people could share a space and still feel completely alone. After the divorce papers were signed, I packed what little I needed, loaded my camping gear into the car, and drove toward Montana. I wasn't looking for adventure. I wanted to disappear. I chose a stretch of deep forest where cell service vanished miles back. No official campground, no trail markers, just trees, mountains, and a silence so thick it felt alive. After hiking for nearly 3 hours, I saw something that stopped me cold. A tent. It was old, gray, sagging, the fabric mottled with mold as if it had been left to rot for years. There were no fresh footprints, no fire pit, no trash. Just the tent, standing alone as though someone had simply stepped away and never returned. I called out. No answer. Inside, I found a decaying sleeping bag, a few rusted cans of food, and a small notebook placed neatly near the entrance. I opened it. Every page was filled with tally marks. Hundreds of them. They were grouped in sets of 7, over and over again, covering nearly the entire notebook. I counted once, then again. More than 8 months. No dates, no words, no explanation. I backed out of the tent and pitched my own about 60 feet away, telling myself it had once belonged to a drifter. Montana had plenty of people who chose isolation over society. Night fell quickly. Sometime after midnight, I woke to whispering. Not one voice, many. Low and indistinct, circling my tent. The sounds weren't quite language, but they carried intent. I lay frozen, my hand gripping the pistol I'd brought for protection. Then I heard footsteps. Something, or someone, was walking around my tent. The zipper trembled. Fingernails scraped slowly along the fabric, searching. I shouted that I had a gun. The forest exploded with movement. Footsteps scattered in every direction at once, silent, coordinated, deliberate. No screams, no panic, just retreat. I didn't sleep again. At dawn, I stepped outside. The old tent was gone. Not collapsed, not torn down. Gone. No stakes, no fabric, no disturbed ground, as if it had never existed. But surrounding my tent were footprints. Bare human footprints. Dozens of them. They formed a loose circle around where I had slept. Then I noticed the tree. Fresh markings had been carved into the bark, tally marks grouped in sevens identical to those in the notebook, and hanging from a nearby branch was a squirrel. Its neck twisted cleanly, body still warm. No bite marks. No signs of an animal attack. It hadn't been eaten. It had been displayed. A warning. I didn't pack my gear. I ran. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs shook, until the trees thinned and my car came into view. I drove without looking back. I've never returned to Montana. And the part that still keeps me awake isn't the whispers or the disappearing tent. It's the question I refuse to answer. Those tally marks? Were they counting time? Or were they counting people?